Once a month or so, our resident counselor, Dr. David McKenzie, pops into Studio 4 to ponder relationship issues. We are in the season when perfect TV families come together to have perfect TV holiday celebrations. However, in our own homes, holiday happiness is not always flowing. This is not always the happiest time of the year. It is my pleasure to welcome family counselor and sex therapist, Dr. David McKenzie, back to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Same to you. I like the exchange you had with Jay Ingram in the green room. He said, "Are you the sex guy?"
And somebody asked me, do I have sex all the time? I said, no.
I know. One day we should do a show in the green room. Yeah. What goes on in there is a lot of fun.
You're right. You're right.
However, there are people not having that much fun this time of year, even though the song says it's the happiest time of the year. It's not for all of us.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's just the domain of singles. I think everyone, whether you're in a relationship or single, Christmas seems to bring out those parts of ourselves that we can forget through work and holidays the rest of the year. But it brings things to a head.
No kidding. Our emotions run high and get out of control, and we tend to, anyway, I do, inventory our life.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm here again. It's Christmas. It's a point.
Yeah.
And you think, what was I doing last Christmas?
But it's also known that at Christmas time, families tend to have more arguments, more dust-ups at Christmas. And it's a very dark time of the year, especially on the West Coast.
Right.
And so serotonin levels are down. Everything's kind of going against you that way.
How do you take the expectation out of having a perfect Christmas, if you're single especially?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. There's a myth about being single that people think that all singles are out there being lonely. And there are a lot of singles. 48% of households right now are run by single-parent families. In 2010, just over 47% of our population will be single. That's a huge number of people. And so singles tend to develop their social networks, and they're often very attractive to invite to parties and so forth as single people.
Right.
So not all singles are out there moaning and bemoaning being single. But we have to have a social network, both singles and couples and families that are supportive to us throughout the year and at Christmas time. And invite ourselves to a party. Make a party or a Christmas gathering for ourselves and invite people to it. There are ways to make those social connections.
Well, one of the tricks, if you're a social single, to being single successfully is planning.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There are three things that affect mainly women from an article I recently read, and that is finances, relationships, and tasks, busyness. And in the green room, I was just talking with one of your producers who said that she is just so busy this time of the year. And there's just so many things to do. And it tends to wear you down. You're exhausted.
Right. Well, even with all this equality, the male-female, you know, we're equals now.
I know.
Not in the Canadian Senate, but we're getting there.
Well, I think women still tend to do more housework than men do, and I know that's the case in my marriage. So,
well, and at Christmas time, I know there are men who cook the turkey and all of that, but are they buying for the grandchildren? Are they sending the gifts off? Are they standing in the line at the post office? We should do a count, actually. Right. But sometimes tougher on the female.
It is, and especially a single female. Oftentimes, I once heard a woman say that she didn't get invited to a lot of close-knit family affairs because other women would be threatened by them with their husbands. And so I thought that was a really interesting comment.
Yes, but it does happen.
Yes, of course it does.
You've been divorced, I've been divorced, and I know when you get divorced, sometimes the couples take you off the list for whatever reason.
That's right, that's right. Well, for 5 years, in my adult years, I was single when my divorce, 26 years ago. And until I met my present wife, I was single. And there were times in which I really experienced what it's like to be alone.
But when you see couples at Christmas walking down the street in the Santa hat, holding hands with little...
And you want to have a baby and you want a family.
I know. And other times of the year when you see couples everywhere, it's not quite as bad. There's something about it Christmas.
I know. Because it sets us up for these expectations. One of the things I was also talking about just earlier in your green room with Jay Ingram is that it sets us up to expect things. So a little child, Johnny gets a new bike and a new this and a new that, and maybe the single mother can only afford one gift. And so she's already set up to feel as though she's failing, she's falling short.
Well, in tough economic times, and I don't mean to hype it too much, but we are in recession or very close to recession. People are pulling back. There's a crisis of confidence. Families are making new rules. One gift each, no gifts.
Yeah. I
just give me love.
Well, there's a lot to there's a lot to that.
I
though,
know.
Fanny.
It's a nice thing.
It's being forced to buy gifts, and it's no longer really from the heart. It's this obligation we have.
Right.
But one of the things I would suggest to couples is that if you know single people, invite them to your place for Christmas.
Exactly.
It can be a very lonely. People want to belong. They want to feel like they're part of the group. And that's one of the biggest complaints of singles. I just want to belong.
Right. I have a very small family and no relatives in Canada, so except for my immediate.
Yes.
And as we call ourselves orphans, and as orphans, we're taken care of by my friends, and it's why it's important to continue building friends. And we're not orphans. We could make spaghetti or something, I guess.
Well, the social networks are important. In fact, one of my clients knew I was coming on and said, would you please mention a website? It's www.meetup.com. And it's not a dating site.
Okay.
It's a site that has all sorts of groups, whether it be a hiking group, a social group, a party group, a book reading group. There's just, go on to it. It's just filled with things for singles to do.
Many people go away at Christmas, and now you have time off and all. My friends must be too wealthy. I don't know. They all seem to be jetting around.
Yes, yes.
And you're, as a single person, you depend on your friends because that's your social life.
That's right.
And then
that's very true.
Your friends
That's very
dart
true.
off at Christmas time, go home to their families,
And
take an exotic holiday, and there you are.
That's right.
Really single.
And you're left alone. And also, families are in touch with each other. If you're alone and nobody's in touch with you, it can be a very isolating experience. So we also have to listen to some of the music around Christmas. I mean, you feel like going home and turning on the gas. You know, it's pretty depressing stuff.
Well, brothers and sisters, you watch it? Brothers and Sisters on TV. It's a great show, and it's a big family. Sally Field is the star, and she's the mother, and the husband is dead, and this year, all the kids, and they're all growing up, and they have their own lives, and they've all decided to do their own thing at Christmas, but no one knows how to tell mother. It's difficult.
Again, the expectations, you see. And people feel this expectation, this obligation. And I think we really need to start taking a stand in our own little corner of the vineyard and say, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Right.
And
or not sweat the small stuff, and we don't have, just because we've done this for 25 years, this year, we're going to do something different.
Yes.
We'll try to fly that by the family.
Yeah, well, for some members of the family. I think the younger generation's a little more freed up than, say, our generation or even Generation X. We're much more locked into the tradition of Christmas.
True, and who's going to do the dinner? And there is a time when you pass the turkey.
Yeah.
Right, when mother or grandmother doesn't have to do it anymore, doesn't want to do it anymore, and one of the children takes over. But we have so many blended families today.
Well, what about going out for dinner? What about doing something different? Drive to Seattle and we'll keep our economy going.
Yeah, well, I had a partner for many years, and he didn't do Christmas and didn't do economy. I like the economy part because you always flew in the front of the plane.
Exactly. Wow.
But he just didn't do Christmas, but he would take you out for Christmas dinner to the fancy hotel, and wasn't our tradition.
Yeah. I think
but it worked.
I think there are ways of celebrating Christmas that you don't have to spend a lot of money. And the biggest thing, that even those who have lots of gifts, the biggest thing is being together. Whether it be Christmas or birthdays or let's just get together to get together, people want to belong. They want to feel loved.
Yes, but what if you have to be around people you don't love? The ones who are related, the in-laws, the outlaws, the kids.
Well, I think it's
you have the family squabbles that have always been there at Christmas.
Yeah. Well, some of those squabbles you can't get through, and some families are very divided, unfortunately.
Right.
I think it's important to dilute troublesome people with a lot of other people around.
Yes. Many people I've talked to this year, I don't know why, are having trouble jump-starting the Christmas spirit. And not my Jewish friends, and not my Hindu friends, but and many of them celebrate Christmas just because it's fun.
Yeah.
But
well, don't forget we're in a post-Christian age, so a lot of people still want to, hang on with, Merry Christmas. But in a multicultural country like ours, I have no problem with saying Happy Holidays, but and I'll say Merry Christmas to those whom I know, but not everybody can relate to that.
What do you think the root is of humbug? Is it fear of being too happy or too much to do, or because some people are very cynical
I think
about the season? They think, oh, just commercial, it's ridiculous, don't care.
I think that's a different use of the word humbug from how it was originally mentioned in Scrooge. Humbug there was being cut off from society and not caring about others, like the downtrodden. Are there no workhouses, and so on. But I think humbug now comes from a different place. It's from exhaustion, it's from being angry that you're obligated. It's from a different area.
And you can always give back and serve a Christmas dinner down at one of the missions. That's a fun thing to do. You can take all the kids. I know it's unusual. We decided this year to give to different charities with my friends, like Union Gospel and people who need it, rather than give, because we don't need more stuff.
That's absolutely. And my grandchildren have so much stuff from all these grandparents, and it's, you know, it becomes meaningless after a while.
Well, it's really about dump the guilt, change it up, and enjoy it. Because we all come from different traditions.
Define your own holiday tradition. Don't be forced into a mold that society puts you in.
And if you need a friend, go to what's the one.com?
Meetup.com.
Meetup.com.
MEETUP.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Good. Pleasure.
Happy holidays.
You too.
David McKenzie. And tomorrow, Mr. Busy, Shell Buzzy, hammers a nail, puts up a retaining wall, and brings in bountiful goodies for the handy people in your life. And he went to Afghanistan to make peace. He came home fighting for his life. We meet peace warrior Canadian soldier Trevor Green and his partner Debbie Lepore, who tell us about their dramatic struggle to rebuild his life and their own. Thanks for watching Studio 4. Lots more on Shaw TV, only on Shaw TV.